How many more fights would you say? I know you said maybe one, but come on.
I don't know, 1, 2.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not one of those guys. I told you I'm not one of those guys who's going to be fighting until I'm 45 and I'm punchy.
Do you not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame?
Right now? No, how? He fought in one division. He had a WBC, WBA.
He wasn't undisputed. He
no,
wasn't undisputed.
He wasn't. No, what I'm saying is they already called him a weight bully. He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. He beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
You know what I mean? That's a good win. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But like, once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish.
Terence Crawford responded to Errol Spence Jr. with a mocking reply after Spence unexpectedly called him out for a rematch. Crawford believes Spence is just an easy way to make money because the result would be the same as their first fight, if not even worse. Many thought the rivalry between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. was over after Spence was knocked out cold 2 years ago.
My accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't got right now.
However, Spence is preparing to return to the ring soon, and among the many options available, he has chosen to fight Crawford again. But this wasn't entirely his decision. He was forced into it after hearing Crawford's comment on a podcast. Crawford claimed Spence wasn't qualified to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Spence, along with several other boxing experts, found this statement insulting, especially considering Spence survived a serious car crash, defeated top fighters, and unified 3 welterweight titles.
Is there ever a possibility where you would rematch Errol Spence? Or is he in a position where he needs to win again before that makes sense for you?
The possibility is there.
Walking over my feet. You know, I want to get out the game. I got kids, got a mom and dad, and you know, they want to enjoy me. So, you know.
However, Spence is preparing to return to the ring soon, and among the many options available, he has chosen to fight Crawford again. But this wasn't entirely his decision. He was forced into it after hearing Crawford's comment on a podcast. Crawford claimed Spence wasn't qualified to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Spence, along with several other boxing experts, found this statement insulting, especially considering Spence survived a serious car crash, defeated top fighters, and unified 3 welterweight titles.
You know, everything got to come to the end, and you know, sadly, this definitely got to come to the end. So I'm definitely gonna get out while I still can, and not either be forced out or I have to keep fighting because I need money.
Add one more belt though.
Crawford pointed out that Spence fought in only one division, never unified all the belts, and was never undisputed. He also mentioned that people had already accused Spence of being a weight bully. Crawford criticized Spence's victory over Kell Brook, saying Brook was coming off a loss and recovering from an eye injury. Since the podcast aired, fans and boxing experts have been debating this topic. Former WBO super featherweight champion Jamel Herring joined the conversation, saying he loves Crawford but disagrees with him. Herring pointed out that Spence was a unified champion in one of boxing's most respected divisions.
Showed a lot of poise, broke him down, and was able to stop him at the end.
Everybody's wondering what's going on with you and Terence Crawford. This fight gonna happen?
I think it's gonna happen. We both want to fight. I want to fight. He wants to fight, and you know, it's going down to negotiations. So I definitely gonna get the fight this year, and we're gonna score off this year with the biggest fight in boxing.
It is the biggest fight in boxing. Where and when, if you were guessing?
I don't know where. I don't know when, but it's definitely gonna be this year.
All right. We look.
Herring also stated that Spence defeated every world champion in his division to unify the belts, and none of the titles were vacant. He listed Spence's victories over Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yordenis Ugas, emphasizing that all 3 were reigning champions when Spence beat them. The 39-year-old also mentioned Spence's wins over Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia, especially impressive since Spence had just recovered from a life-threatening car crash. Herring said Spence sold out arenas, generated pay-per-view sales, and helped keep the welterweight division exciting. In his final argument, Herring stated that losing one fight to an all-time great like Crawford doesn't erase Spence's career achievements. According to him, Errol Spence Jr. is definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame.
Fedor, for his title, I'm fighting for a title, and there's a possibility he win this fight. God willing, I win my fight, God willing, and there's your possibility right there.
Ever since Terence Crawford won the WBO welterweight title in his first fight at 147 lbs by stopping Jeff Horn in June 2018, fans had been calling for a fight between him and Spence. However, a major obstacle stood in the way: promotional conflicts. Crawford was signed with Top Rank, while Spence was aligned with PBC. Two companies that rarely work together. This business conflict delayed the fight for years. Crawford became a free agent in November 2021 after defeating Shawn Porter by a 10th round TKO, which finally allowed serious negotiations for a fight with Spence. They spent most of 2022 in talks and nearly finalized a deal in September, but it fell apart at the last moment. Crawford went on to score a spectacular 6th round knockout against David Evanesian in December, fighting in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. Meanwhile, Spence, who is from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, last fought in April 2022. He won by a 10th round technical knockout against Yordenis Ugas in Arlington, Texas, to claim his 3rd welterweight title. That fight was Spence's first after undergoing surgery in August 2021 to repair a detached retina. He was originally scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao that same month, but had to withdraw due to the injury. However, just like when he recovered from his car crash in 2019, Spence returned stronger than ever. 14 months after his accident, he defeated Danny Garcia by decision. While many boxers have been forced to retire due to a detached retina, Spence made a comeback, just like Sugar Ray Leonard did in the 1980s by breaking Ugas's orbital bone. The debate about Spence's Hall of Fame status first started after Terence Crawford defeated him on July 29, 2023, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The fight was watched by a sold-out crowd of 19,190 people. Crawford dominated Spence and won by a 9th round TKO, making history as the first undisputed welterweight champion since 2006. He also became the first male boxer in the 4-belt era to achieve undisputed status in 2 weight classes. This knockout victory was Crawford's 11th consecutive stoppage win, with 9 of those knockouts happening in the 6th round or later.
Man, I got a lot of skill sets I feel like advantages over him. But at the end of the day, I feel like this fight is basically so even. You know, it's gonna be more about just being more focused and, you know, not getting out of focus, especially in the later rounds, just making sure staying on point all throughout the fight and making sure you don't lose focus, because that's how.
This victory was particularly special because Crawford completely outclassed Spence, controlling the fight from the moment he dropped Spence in the 2nd round. It was an unfamiliar situation for Spence, who had never been knocked down before in his career. By the end of the fight, Spence had been knocked down 3 times, similar to Devin the Dream Haney, who was also knocked down 3 times in his first career loss. Crawford finished the fight by landing an incredible 60% of his power punches and 42% of his jabs. His 87 landed jabs were the most ever recorded against Spence.
Nothing really surprised me. He was just like I thought. It just my timing wasn't good today.
Questions for Errol Spence Jr.
Hey Errol, Keith Heidick from boxingscene.com. What do you attribute your timing not being there to? Did you feel off physically or anything, or what was wrong in the fight?
fight started with Spence setting the pace early, pressuring Crawford while Crawford stayed cautious, waiting for the right moments to counter. Late in the first round, he did just that, though there were no major moments for either fighter. Spence overreached at one point, and Crawford quickly countered with a strong left hand. This was just a glimpse of the strategic battle expected in the early rounds. Crawford is known for starting slow, while Spence typically tries to control the fight's tempo. Spence continued to push forward in the second round, using his movement, steady jab, and relentless pressure to create problems.
Your timing not being there too, did you feel off physically or anything, or what was wrong in the fight?
Yeah, felt a little off physically, but most times I get through it. So, I thought it was gonna be just like the other times, but I couldn't kick it up a notch.
Crawford knocked Spence down for the first time in his career in the closing seconds of the second round. From that moment, Crawford's power became a major factor. In the fourth round, he landed a big overhand left and a series of sharp jabs. That hurt Spence. The 35-year-old was in complete control, and his dominance continued into the fifth round, where he once again backed Spence up with his accuracy, speed, and textbook counter punching. By then, it was clear that the fight's outcome was only a matter of time. Crawford knocked Spence down 2 more times before sealing a TKO victory in the 9th round.
I always tell everybody, I don't go in there looking for the knockout. I go looking for the win. But if he get out of line, he's gonna be the next one down.
I only dreamed of being a world champion. I'm an overachiever. Nobody believed in me when I was coming up, but I made everyone a believer, Crawford said after the fight. I want to thank Spence and his team. Like I told him, without him, none of this would have been possible for me tonight. He added, it means everything because of who I took the belts from. They tried to blackball me. They kept me out. They talked bad about me. They said I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't beat these top welterweights, but I just kept my head up. I kept praying to God for the opportunity to show the world how great Terence Crawford is. And tonight, I believe I showed just how great I am.
I'm about to take my belt off then.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Errol?
You don't need more than the belt. I don't know what you talking about. I ain't one of your kids.
I'm
you
gonna
don't
treat
need
you.
more than the belt. I ain't one of your kids.
I'ma treat you like one.
Yeah, all right, we gonna see.
All right, we definitely gonna see.
And there they are, ladies and gentlemen. It's the main event of the evening. Brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world.
Crawford definitely showed how great his jab is. Even Mike Tyson described it as a battering ram that constantly connected and forced Spence back throughout the fight. He's a tremendous talent. He's got a great jab, Crawford said. About Spence. Since Crawford won the WBO welterweight title in his first fight at 147 lbs in June 2018, a TKO victory over Jeff Horn, fans had been calling for a showdown with Spence. However, a major obstacle stood in the way. Promotional conflicts. Crawford was promoted by Top Ranking for years, while Spence was aligned with UPBC. These two companies rarely do business together, making it difficult to finalize the long-anticipated fight.
I got feel for his power. Probably like first, second round. He's a strong dude, but everybody at this top level have some type of power. But I think because my time was out, he was catching me in between shots.
I get to say I told y'all because I've been asking for these fights for years, and y'all been saying, "Oh, he's too small. He's gonna get this. He's gonna get broken."
Even when you're one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, people still get the details of your career wrong, especially when you're sitting across from other combat sports champions. Even UFC legend Kamaru Usman wasn't immune to a little fact-checking when he tried to recall a key moment from Terence Crawford's career, only for Crawford to hilariously correct him. The mix-up happened on the Pound for Pound podcasts with Usman and Henry Cejudo, and it had everyone in stitches, including Crawford himself. The conversation started with talk about Crawford's future in boxing. Confidently, Usman tried to recall a fight, but walked straight into an awkward mistake. "I saw you win the belt off the Jamaican dude. Am I right?" Usman asked, trying to pinpoint the moment Crawford became champion. Crawford, clearly amused, let him continue. "I think you were knocked down. Which fight was that? You fought Jeff Horn in Australia, right?" That was all Crawford needed to hear. With a smirk, he replied, "I ain't ever fought in Australia," laughing at Usman's mistake. Still trying to figure things out, Usman asked again, "Wait, who did you fight in Australia?" Crawford doubled down, saying, "Jeff Horn was at the MGM." At that moment, Henry Cejudo, who knows a thing or two about trash talk, burst into laughter as Usman realized he had completely messed up.
First male boxer to be undisputed champion in 2 divisions for the first time in the 4-belt era. There is an undisputed welterweight champion of the world. This man, 40 wins, no losses. He remains undefeated here tonight. The best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, from Omaha, Nebraska, we present to you
Kamaru Usman's claim that Crawford had been knocked down wasn't just incorrect, it was the kind of mistake Crawford has had to correct multiple times. The confusion comes from a 2019 fight against Egidijus Kavaliauskas. In that match, Kavaliauskas landed a solid counter shot that caused Crawford to momentarily lose balance. Some fans argue it should have been counted as a knockdown, but the referee ruled it a slip. That means Crawford's record officially remains spotless.
You know, he just keep getting up. Like he like, man, I'm not giving up. I don't care what you do. I'm gonna keep getting up and I'm gonna keep fighting. So, you know, yeah, he did what he had to do to last the time that he lasted.
You think the ref should have stopped it?
Yes. An unbeaten record and a reputation for making elite fighters look average. Crawford doesn't just win, he dominates. Some fighters have knockdowns waved off, and others have their perfect records questioned because of referee decisions or controversial stoppages. But Crawford, he's never had to explain away a moment where he was truly down. Think about it, many boxing legends have been knocked down at some point. Muhammad Ali, Manny Pacquiao, even Floyd Mayweather, who officially has only one recorded knockdown, had a few shaky moments in his career. But Crawford, he's never hit the canvas. That's not just skill, it's proof of how complete a fighter he is. His defense is elite, his footwork is masterful, and his ability to take punches without going down is almost unbelievable. So when Usman casually said, "You've been knocked down," Crawford wasn't just correcting him, he was reminding the world that his record speaks for itself.
Yeah, stop it.
Right, yeah,
but
no,
I think
you think he should have stopped it at that time, because even when he stopped it, Errol was, you know, put his hands up like, I'm still going. Do you think that was the time to stop the fight?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think that his corner should have stepped in the 7th round. You know, I feel as if, you know, they believed in Errol, but at the same time, they should have saved the fighter from himself. Because as fighters, we gonna keep fighting until there's no fight left. But at the point where, you know, they see that there's no possible way for him to win.
Some interviews get tense when fighters are questioned about their records. This one, however, was nothing but laughs. Usman took his mistake with a smile, Crawford corrected him smoothly, and Cejudo enjoyed watching someone else take the heat. But for once. That being said, Crawford's comments about Errol Spence Jr. have sparked debate. Many people disagree with his statements. Meanwhile, Spence has remained silent on the matter, and Crawford has yet to respond to the backlash. What do you think? Does Spence deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame, or is this debate getting ahead of itself? And that's all.